Grammar Box 11, Nuances, Lesson 3, and today we're going to work with contrasting. So let's see. In order to show contrasting, so we can use although, even though, but though. So let's see the difference. With although, even though, and though, there is no difference. So let's see. Although it was raining, we went for a walk. Although she was tired, she finished her work. Although the test was difficult, he passed. Even though it was very difficult, they went swimming. Even though he studied a lot, the exam was hard. Even though she was nervous, she gave a great speech. Though it was late, they kept talking. Though he was young, he was very wise. Though the road was long, the trip was fun. So instead of although, even though, and though, you can say, we went for a walk, but it was raining. She finished her work, but she was tired. He passed, but the test was difficult. So the same with even though and though. Let's see with but though. The movie was too long, but it was interesting though. So I didn't like the weather, but the trip was nice though. The exam was hard, but I think I did well though. So with this though, you add some peculiarity. Though it is contrasting, and you can use but. There is also one more very interesting formula with though to add some mystery or a bit of surprise. When you don't finish the end and the interlocutor starts thinking themselves what you meant. For example, the exam was easy, but the result, though, and here it's a very good question whether the result was good, bad, satisfactory, no ideas. The task looked simple, but the answer, though. And what did you mean by that? So still there is a bit of surprise and mystery. The journey was short, but the experience, though. Here, please add anything you want. This is contrasting the first part with although, even though, with no difference, with but though. This is also contrasting, and though at the end of the lesson, at the end of the sentence, with a bit of mystery. Let's continue. So the second part, despite and in spite of. This is also contrasting. They are the same. Sometimes the students ask me, Olga, what's the difference? And I say there is no difference. Despite, you write it together, and in spite of, these are three words, and they have no difference, but you should keep in mind you can use them with noun, with gerund, or the fact that. After despite and in spite of, you cannot use a sentence. For example, despite the weather was bad, I went for a walk. In general, it looks fine. Despite the weather was bad, I went for a walk. Or in spite of, it's a bit different. So please, after them, you can use noun, gerund, or the fact that. So despite the rain, we continued the match. In spite of the rain, we continued the match. Despite his injury, he finished the race. In spite of his injury, he finished the race. There is no difference. They are complete synonyms. With gerund, despite feeling tired, she kept studying. In spite of feeling tired, she kept studying. Despite working all day, he still had energy. In spite of working all day, he still had energy. So with gerund. And the fact that, despite the fact that it was late, they stayed at the party. In spite of the fact that it was late, they stayed at the party. Despite the fact that the task was difficult, she completed it. In spite of the fact that the task was difficult, she completed it. So, despite bad weather, I went to the park. Despite the fact that the weather was bad, I went to the park. Despite enjoying bad weather, I went to the park. So, with despite and in spite of, I hope that now it's clear. Let's continue. And Please remember with only, like we use only whether with or, infinitives, prepositions, and at the beginning of the sentence with or. I don't know whether it's true or not. Contrasting. She asked whether I wanted tea or coffee. We're wondering, it's not about contrasting, sorry, that's about weather, interesting points about weather. So, because about nuances, we are wondering whether to go now or wait. It's unclear whether he's serious or joking. So, with or, we use only whether. Before infinitives, I haven't decided whether to go to the party. She's unsure whether to take the job after. So we need to figure out whether to cancel the trip. He asked me whether to call the police. It okay. So this is before infinitives. Then after prepositions, it depends on whether she agrees. We had a debate about whether the rule is fair. I'm concerned about whether they'll arrive on time. She's unsure of whether the report was accurate. And at the beginning of the sentence, we cannot use if, only whether. Whether it rains tomorrow is still uncertain. Whether he's still in the truth, I'm not sure. Whether to continue the project, to continue the project is under discussion. Whether this is the right choice, whether it is whether this is the right choice is hard to say. Okay, so in this lesson you have contrasting two parts and you have whether, when to use. Let's practice, and I'm sure you will do it very well and you'll do your best. And see you in lesson 4.